Hello everybody, it's another video. We're going to be talking about how to capture a keyboard event and use that event to move your spaceship. So already you should be able to draw a spaceship on the screen. Now, if you can't do that, go ahead and back up to the previous video that I have linked right on our club website. Alright, so you should have your ship already being drawn to the screen. We want to move it around. Last time we did this, we added a couple variables to our program. We added a vector, which is a variable that holds two numbers, in this case an x and a y. The x is going to hold where you are horizontally on the screen. The y is where you are vertically on the screen. Then we also defined a 2D texture, the player ship, and we loaded that texture with our Terran Battle Cruiser ping, our .png file, which is what the picture is stored it to. Okay, so we in the load content last time we also defined an x and y position. We grabbed a width from the graphics device. That's the total width of the screen, and we divide it by 2, and then we set that to the x position. We did the same for the y, so that puts our ship roughly in the center of the screen. But what we want to do is use a keyboard to move around. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to our update, and we're going to define a new variable called keyboard state. Looks like that. So keyboard state holds information for your entire keyboard, and it will record each button that is pressed down or not pressed down. So when I set it equal to keyboard.getState, that pulls the current state of the keyboard when you call that. Remember that update is constantly called. Update is called 60 times a second. So every 60 times a second, this function is going to run. It's going to scan your keyboard, and then we could also make it do actions based on what keys it finds pressed. For instance, let's say that we want to make it so that if you hit escape, your program will exit. So we could do this. We could define an if statement and say keyboard state dot is key down, and then we put keys dot escape in there. So that says, so this if statement will go off if it sees that the escape button is pressed down on your keyboard, and then we just say this dot exit. This is just a pointer to this object, this whole game object. So that will just cause the game to exit. So you could try that. You should be able to hit compile, run, and you should be able to see that you could hit escape and make your spaceship game exit. Alright, so that's well and good, but we want to make the spaceship move. So how do we do that? Well, we'll just define another if statement. Set it up the same way. Keyboard dot is key down. In this case, we're doing it keys dot up. Alright, and then we already create a variable that describes the position of the ship. We call it player. I call it player position. You may have not called it that, but it's fine. So you do since we want it to go up or down. That's the y, right? And we're gonna say minus equal. That's just shorthand saying that whatever player position dot y is, I want to just subtract this number to the right of it. So I'm going to say 10. So this basically will just subtract 10 from player position. It's a shorthand notation for saying player position dot y equals player position dot y minus 10. Right. So it just helps us have to write less in this statement and have the same functionality. So you'll see that even though I want to make the ship go up, I'm subtracting from the y, and that's because X and A is a little tricky when they set up their coordinate system, which you should see. in math before, when you're graphing a function, you might be used to y being positive when it's going up. But there's no rules. You could define your coordinate system any way you like, including a y that goes down. And that's exactly what XNA does. Their y is positive when they go down. So if we want to make this ship go up, we have to subtract y. We have to subtract from y. So now you should be able to run it and hit the up key, and your spaceship should go up. Alright, and just from looking at this one statement, you probably could be able to figure out how to make all the other calls as well. So you could just copy that and say keys.down instead of up. And we add instead of subtract. So now if I hit up or down, my spaceship goes up or down. Alright, so I'm going to copy that last statement again. Now instead of down, I'm going to say left. And instead of y, it's going to be, we're changing x. X is going horizontally, remember, and y is vertical. So x going to the left, it is just like you've seen it before in math. X is negative going to the left. It's just convention. So XNA doesn't flip everything around, just the y is flipped around. The x is as you expect it. Now we should be able to make our spaceship go backwards. It does, it goes left. So we just copy this one more time and then we're done. We can do keys up right. And once again, add instead of subtract. And now your spaceship should go up, down, left, and right. And that's it for this video. If you'd like to challenge yourself, I would like you to think about how to make the spaceship have a variable speed. So if you get a power up and you want to go faster, or let's say you lose that power up and you want to go slower, how would you do that? Try to figure out a way to make that spaceship go a variable speed. Alright, and if you have, we'll be happy to help you with that if you have any questions on my email or Mondays at Club. See you next time. Bye-bye.